Tracy here from the Idea Closet, and today I have another tutorial using the silhouette, the Cameo. This is actually for my Cameo class that I'm teaching at the store, and so here's a little tutorial to help you. Today we're going to make flowers using our text tool. So we're going to open up our Silhouette Studio and open up a blank document. We want to come up here to our text and click on it. And then I already have highlighted the text that I'm going to use, but you'll need to type it in. And the one that I'm using today is Caslon number 224 ITCT black. And if you don't have that on your computer, we'll find a way to find a free one that you can use, and I will put that on my blog once I find one. But go ahead and just practice, and if you have this one, that'd be great. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to come down here to your text size and change that to 144 points. We're going to come into the middle, click on it, and then we're going to just type in an exclamation point. That's all you're going to do. Now right now this is read as a font, and we actually want it as a shape. So we're going to click off of it and click back on, and now it's a shape. So now we want to use this to make our petals. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come up here to our rotate window and click on that. And then we're going to copy and paste in place this exclamation point. And the hotkeys for that are for copy, Control C, and then for paste in place is Control F. And what it does is it darkens that red line, which means that there's now two of them. And so we're going to come up here to our rotate 45 degrees clockwise and click on that, and you'll notice that it just adds another little petal. And we're going to repeat that 6 more times. So Control C, Control F, and rotate. Control C, Control F, 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 rotate. And one more time, Control C, Control F, and rotate. So now you can see that we have a kind of cool looking little flower. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and highlight that whole thing, and we're actually going to make 4 copies of this, because we're going to use it to do some different types of flowers, and I don't want you to have to keep repeating this step, although you could. So we're just going to hit Control Copy, and this time we're going to hit Control Paste, which is Control V. V is in Vernal, and drag that up here so that we have another one. And then Control Copy, or Control C, Control V, drag that up here, Control Copy, Control V, and now we have 4 copies of this flower. Now I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so that you can actually see what we're doing with this. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to select this whole group, just highlight it, make sure that it's all there, and then you're going to right click and you'll get this drop down menu, and you're going to come down here to make a compound path. Now this seems a little redundant. Nope, sorry. So you're going to do that, and then we're going to come up here to our sketch, and we're going to hit sketch. Now this is the one thing that's a little bit different if you don't have the designer edition, is if you just have the regular edition, you can sketch this with a pen and it's going to look just like that, which is really cool. And you can fill that in with some watercolors or your favorite marker, and it will make a really cool flower. But if you have the designer edition, you can come over here and you can do some different things. My favorite one for this flower is the continuous. I'm going to hit continuous. Whoops, sorry, have to select it. Hit continuous, and there is just a really cool flower. All you would do for this flower is you would send it to your Cameo just like you were going to cut, only you'd put a pen in instead of your blade, and it will sketch that out, and you've got a fun little flower. Once again, you could color that in with colored pencils, water markers, Copic markers, Tombow, whatever you have on hand. So that's just one really quick and easy flower. So we're going to kind of come slide this to the side, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to get another one. Go ahead and select it, and I'm going to move it down here to the middle so that we can work with it a little bit. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and right click on it and make this a compound path again. And now this is where the redundancy comes in. We're going to go ahead and select it and click on it and release compound path. Now it seems like we just did something and then undid it, but you have to do that. And the reason why is because remember we started with an exclamation point and it was one shape. When we released the compound path, what it did was it made those circles their own shape and the petals their own shape. So that's why we had to put it in a compound path and then release it in a compound path. And make sure that you do both of those. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to have to zoom in to get a really good up close, and you might have to do this a couple of times. Is we're going to select all of these middle circles. So we're just going to draw a rectangle around them, and you want to make sure that you get all of them. And then we're going to weld, and there's 3 different ways to weld, and it's all the same. The first one is you can come up here to your modify window, click there, and hit the weld button. The other one is you can come down here and you have a weld button, or because I do it a lot, you can right click, you get the drop down menu and weld, and that's what we're going to do. So now that you have done that, we're going to just drag this off to the side, and you've got this little middle piece. You can keep that or you can get rid of it. For this one I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it, and so what we'll have to do is we're going to right click, we're going to release the compound path once more, and then we can just get rid of that. Now when you go to cut this out, you can cut this out of a separate piece of paper, or you can just discard it and not use it at all. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to select all of those, and then we're going to weld it together. So right click and weld. Now remember, there's 3 options. This is the easiest, I think. Right click and weld. So there is your flower. Now you can go ahead and group that back together, move this middle piece over here, and if you want to, you can even add this piece or you can disregard it. Now what this will do is when you cut it, it's going to cut it into 3 separate pieces. It'll cut this, the outer leaves, the middle, and then this inner part if that's what you choose to do. We're going to go ahead and select all of those, and for right now I'm just going to group it so that I can get it off to the side. When we cut it, of course you would want to ungroup it. So grouping, you can do the same thing. You can come down here, this is your group button right here, or you can hit the drop down, which is Control right, and hit group, or the hotkey is Control G. Oops, except it has to be selected. Control G, and now it's one group. So we're going to go ahead and move that off to the side. And now we're going to do this last flower, and I kind of had you do an extra one just in case you messed up, so you're not going to need that one, but we're going to go ahead and use this last flower. Go ahead and select it, and while it's all of it selected, we're going to weld it together. So right click and weld. There you go. Now we're going to do something really fun with this flower. So we're going to go to the offset window or key, which is this window right here. Nope, sorry, this window right here. Open offset window. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do an outside offset. So we're going to just hit the offset button. And see how big that made it? Well, we don't want it that big. We want to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to use my slider button and slide it down here to 0.65. But actually, I think I'm going to take it to 0.5. Perfect. So you can use the slider button or the arrow buttons, or you can even highlight it and type it in. And now we're going to hit apply. We're going to click off of it. And we're going to come back in here and click on the small flower again. And this time we're going to do an internal offset. I'm going to click on internal, and we're going to slide this up and just kind of watch. I'm actually going to go to 1.85. what I had in my notes, 1.85. And now you've got those cool little loops and designs and everything that you want. So now you can remove this outer piece. You can remove this inner piece. Go ahead and select this with your little circles, and if I do that now, the only thing that's selected is these little circles. So I want the whole flower. I'm going to have to move that off to the side. Go ahead and group that whole thing. Move that to the side. Group that whole thing. There we go. And then weld and make a compound path. So, whoops, I still didn't do it. So select the whole thing. There we go. And make a compact path. And now that is one piece. And so what will happen is when you send that to your silhouette, it will cut this piece out in, say, red, this piece out in maybe pink, and this piece out in green, and then you can build your flower. So let's go back to fit the main screen, and there are 3 different flowers that we've made using the exclamation point of a font. Very easy. Go ahead and stop the video, rewind, try it again, and like I said, if you don't have that font on your computer, we'll find one that will work, and I will try and find a free one and put the link for that on my blog. Have fun with it.